is real race talk from Texas. It's the Revved Up Sports Show. Here's Bobby Chaffee and Rodney Rodriguez.
Monday Fun Day, another day of the week, another new week. We're in August. This is hashtag Real Race Talk coming to you from deep in the heart of Texas. It is the Revved Up Sports Show, RevvedUpSportsShow.com. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at RevvedUpATX. Social distancing as we all should be, as they say. Up north, I'm Rodney Rodriguez. I'm in Round Rock. And down in Hayes County over in Kyle, it is showtime. Bobby Chaffee as we fire off to get you a big program rolling. Coming up, man, we got a blue chip list of guys on tonight. 7 o'clock, Grant Thompson. 7:30, Neil Kemp. That's a guy to call if you need a loan right about now because dude's got $10,000.
He got 10,000 reasons to party with us tonight, doesn't he, dude?
Man, I tell you, and that just tells you how popular, we've talked about on the show here the last few weeks, how popular the dadgum factory stocks are. Well, there you go. $10,000 to win. They're doing something right.
They're doing something right at Boot Hill. I think they had 127 factory stocks up this weekend, so that is a great way to have a big show going for them. But lots of good racing action. Had a good show there at Houston Motorsports Park and NASCAR Houston for the Texas Short Track Racing Series. You and I were both down there being a part of that show.
Very good show there. And I'll tell you one thing, old Jake Wright, we talk about Jake Wright doing that team has turned the corner. I mean, that's the legit team to beat right now. And he outran their Flying Ryan Lucia in Alan Alexander's truck. And, the time before, Logan Boyette was there. I know Logan didn't get to finish that race out, but this is a dude where we really need to get that Florida connection going on here. And let's get some guys down. We'll talk to Grant Thompson here in just a little bit. He's not a Florida guy, but let's talk about some of these guys come up here and play with us for a little bit.
Maybe so. I mean, obviously Grant's got the connections there in the Southeast there with the trucks that he's been running for a couple of years now. So I'm thinking that it's going to be a good night here on the show. Obviously, we got to stay positive about it, but lots of good vibes happening right now here in Revved Up Land.
Mm-hmm. Getting to talk to a lot of great people and a lot of folks really tuning in here to the show, and that's what it's all about. So like this, share it, do everything that we need to be doing with it, and all of that good stuff. Revved Up Sports Show Driver of the Year, of course, last year was the man Ross Chastain. National Watermelon Day. You can't beat a good watermelon. I like watermelon. That's one of those good snacks.
See, I'm not a watermelon guy.
Is that right?
Back in my younger days, my late teens, early 20s, was out partying with some friends out in Georgia. They decided that they wanted to cut open a watermelon and pour some moonshine up in there.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, they put the spigot on the bottom of the moonshine, and it was good that night, but it was not good that next day. So I have not been a watermelon fan since then.
Yeah, that right there will do you in if you start having that happen. It's like one experience, I remember as a young guy drinking wine coolers. Don't think bad of me. I also drank Zima and Bud Clear. Does anybody remember, or Miller Clear? Anybody remember Miller Clear? That was a pretty good little drink back in the day when Miller came out with that, and of course that was in the 90s. But yeah, I drank all that stuff. But wine coolers is something that put a whooping on me one of the first times I had it, and that cherry smell, it's gross. I mean, it's bad. It's really bad.
Yeah, kind of like me and Camels right now, right?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, absolutely. I got checking in already on Facebook. Chad Deere is talking about these corn dogs at Houston, and there were several times the other night that I was trying to go get them, or at least one, but I was never able to get there. I mean, I kept getting pulled, different places. It gets busy around there, but man, I've got to get my hands on one of those weenies. I mean, these weenies are spectacular from what I hear, for crying out loud.
Wow, that's a lot of publication there for a little bit of corn dogs. So.
Lot to intake, right? That's the last thing we need is for folks to think that I have a fascination with weenies or something. But I got to get my hands on these because I keep seeing corn dog every time Houston comes up. Corn dog gets thrown around. So I don't know, but yeah, I definitely think if we could get that truck thing. I mean, I want some of those trucks to come over. I will tell. Well, no, I'm not going to say it. I don't know if I should say it yet. But that Jake Wright team, man, they're getting after it, and formidable competition out there. I like seeing Ryan Luja back. It was good to have Alan Alexander back at the racetrack. I ran into him at the hotel a little bit later on that night, and it was really cool to have old Double A back around there.
Well, I didn't get to partake in the parking lot party this week. I actually had to come back a little early on Sunday myself. But from what I could hear, being on that side of the hotel, it seemed like it wasn't as big of a normal Holiday Inn party as it was, but it seemed like it was about half the size.
Man, I got to tell you, Bo had 2 corn dogs. Bo needed 2 corn dogs. He was working his ass off. It was a lot of work there for our man Bo. But yeah, I mean, I wasn't going. I know you and I were kind of going back and forth, and I mean, I told you why I didn't want to go. I mean, I didn't want to make it an all-nighter. But I'm gonna be real honest with you. I did run down. The reason I ran down was and I'm not ashamed to say this. I don't know if any guys that are on here will understand, but I just cannot stop watching Lifetime movies. If they're on those LMN movies where it's always the woman trying to kill the ex-boyfriend or whatever it is, it's always wrong something. Wrong teacher, wrong dad, wrong mom, wrong babysitter. I seriously got hooked into one of those, and I'm like, I got to get out of here. I mean, I put it on ESPN, and they were talking about the bubble. I put it back on LMN. I said, I got to go down there. And that's when I ran into Mike Reiniger, literally, because he, fell into me with a little bit of fireball. So I was there for a little bit, long enough.
That sounds like fun. Seems like I missed out on a good one on that deal. But let me go back. I've already got some text messages talking about this whole camel thing, about the reference for the camel.
Uh-huh.
Yes, because I text you about it. I went to a safari, little drive-through safari on Friday afternoon, and one of the camels.
First tip: don't go to that.
Yeah, one of the camels decided to try to bite my forearm off in the middle of the truck. So, yes, I can now add that to the strange list of stuff that's happened to me, where I've got bitten by a camel at a safari ranch.
Well, at least it didn't bite you in the privates or on the backside or something like that, because that would have been a story. That would have been a story. That was one. Speaking of stories, so we were all pretty sad when the XFL.
There you go.
Kind of fell by the wayside there, but we got the news today that goes like this.
If you smell what the XFL is cooking.
The Rock, and he's got some partners, and they have jumped in. We'll do it again.
What the XFL is cooking.
So there you go. I mean, you're going to have a lot of hungry football players, and I don't know what's going to happen with the NFL. They're dead set on playing, but the XFL is going to roar back to life. And I would think if you've got a guy like that and some rich financial partners, I think it's like $15 million that they paid for this. This is legit. Now it's legit.
I think it had a good chance to be legit before. Obviously, Vince McMahon had his stake into it. I'm pretty sure he's still going to have another stake in it after buying out of bankruptcy. He's going to have to be involved some way, especially with the prior relationship between Vince McMahon and Dwayne Johnson. But I think it's a good step in the right direction. Obviously, when you have while Vince McMahon, a lot of people know Vince McMahon, it seems like every single person knows who Dwayne Johnson or The Rock is,
dude's
depending
famous.
on which way you know him. So everybody, that dude's everywhere. Don't you wish you looked
famous.
that good at 50 years old?
Yeah. I wish I looked that good anytime. I mean, I wish I would have looked that good at 20 or 25 or whatever. Yeah, and the guy's got a football background, so I mean, I think everything's in place right there. I mean, I think that is something that could be a viable option there. Let's talk about, before we get too much further in, and we will give you race results coming up here in just a little bit. We got to talk on our man Caden Honeycutt. He was on this program last week, and Bobby, you asked the magic question. What are you going to consider a good run? And he said a win. And man, he damn near got it.
He really did. I mean, obviously he a caution-free race, which was kind of surprising there for the Blizzard Series, especially not in the beginning at least. They had a cost-free race. I think he led 62 or 75 laps. Got chased down there at the end by Bubba Pollard.
Yeah, well, he had the contact there. He was trying to get around actually another guy that's been on this program, Logan Bearden, one of our guys here, and just a bad situation. They get into each other, and I was talking our man John Alverson, who man, that dude, I wish I was with him right now. He talked to Caden after the race, and after the contact, he said it was one thing. I knew Bubba was coming, but when that happened, stuff kind of got knocked around there on the front end of that Donnie Wilson car, and Bubba got him. But what a debut, for Donnie Wilson Racing. That's how you do it right there.
I mean, if you're going to show up right, show up in style. I mean, there's no doubt that's great equipment, and he did say that he was ready to win in that car, but I think everybody was just like, oh, okay, yeah, it's Donnie Wilson stuff. But I mean, when he sat there on the pole after them heat races in the inversion, man, he looked strong there for that. He opened up a lot of eyes, so that all it usually takes is that one opportunity, right? We talk about it all the time. Drivers just need that one shot.
That's it.
So when you get a chance, you got to do the best you can. When it looks like Caden did the best he could. Haven't announced any other races, but I have a hard time believing that Donnie Wilson doesn't want to put that kid back in the car again.
Man, you have to be really impressed there. And Donnie's had some really good shoes in those cars, and he's got some young guys. And of course, Casey Roderick drove it there for a little bit. And when it all comes down to it, when you're racing against King Bubba, that's a tall order right there. And Bubba's coming. It makes it tough. It makes it tough. But speaking of King Bubba, talking about John Alverson there, Wisconsin International Raceway is the spot tomorrow. First appearance there for King Bubba at the 250-lap race there, and man, that's a big one. You've got Kyle Busch, you've got Ty Majeski, you've got Travis Braden. I mean, there's so many top-flight drivers there with that Midwest Tour that are going to be racing in that. And I was talking to my dad actually today, and he was asking about that race. I said, yeah, man, it's like the huge race. He's like, that would be a great weekend here. I said, yeah, and they're doing it on a Tuesday in Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no doubt about it. John Iverson travels all over the place. I mean, that dude, not only does he give to the sport, he intakes a lot of the sport.
He does.
We talked to him in Houston on Saturday in person. Now he is 2 days later going up in Wisconsin.
I heard Kyle Busch this morning on the 51 show this morning, or kind of read some of the comments there, and they asked him, about Bubba Pollard, and he said, well, you have to respect those guys. They show up at tracks and they figure out what they need to do, and they jump out, and obviously the results are right there. So that'll be interesting. A very frustrated Kyle Busch after last place yesterday, so he hasn't had the opportunity to run these supers all season. So he goes out, and this is not going to be. I mean, this isn't one of those where Kyle Busch shows up and it's going to be a cakewalk, because you got the best in the business right there. This is going to be one hell of a race, and I will be watching that one tomorrow night.
Yeah, I know, lots of good stuff happening on that race. With when you look at it and it looks like an all-star field,
Mm-hmm.
and, that's what we're seeing, right? We've often talked about wanting to see a coast-to-coast super late model tour with all the big events, but you really start to see all these guys are showing up to the big shows. If you've got a big show, that's when your guys like Majeski's going to be there. Your guys like Bubba Pollard, Travis Braden, some of those guys that are perennial powerhouses, especially down here in the Southeast, those guys are now traveling more. I want to say that's why the Southeast Late Model Tour is getting so much publicity right now, is because those guys have branched out from just running in the Southeast. And like Bubba, he's branched out, gone all the way up to Canada, and he's managed to kick their ass up there too.
Yeah, absolutely. And a couple of weeks ago when we had Casey Johnson on here, he's got plans to be at the Snowball. I mean that's the goal there for him to be there for that. And you have the northern guys, starting to influx this, and at a time where I mean, short track racing is so imperative. I think, or short track racing needs that shot in the arm. I didn't really expect it to be the dadgum super late models, which are the most pricey ticket of them all when it comes to pavement racing. I didn't think that would be what's going to draw all this together, and it's what's happening because of everything happening in the north. You're talking about these guys in the southeast. You put them all together, and it's a who's who. Every time that you get ready to do it, $10,000 on the line tomorrow, and you bring the best of the best, and that's a half-mile track, and I mean it's not like it's not like Pensacola. It's not a true. Well, I guess this one is somewhat like Pensacola. I think it's a dogleg front stretch, but the turns are very different. So this is going to be really cool to watch all these hot shots get after it.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I think it's one of those races that we're all looking forward to. You'll be watching it tomorrow night. I'll probably end up getting the pay-per-view to watch it myself down here. So,
Mm-hmm.
anytime that you decide that you want to pull it together and get something like that, that's when you know. That's when you know it's a good show. They do all kind of weird stuff. That Redbud 300 or Redbud 400s on a Monday.
Yeah.
They run the Slinger Nationals. I mean, I think that's run during the week. So, it's gonna be a great show this weekend if you're a fan of, or this week tomorrow if you're a fan of super late models.
It's gonna be a good one. The Gandred Auto Group 250, that is tomorrow over on Speed 51. Check that out. That's it's gonna be some good stuff. And I saw Johnny Sauter. I mean, Johnny Sauter is gonna be racing in this race, and Johnny Sauter proclaimed earlier today that if he wins tomorrow, which is gonna be tough, but if he wins tomorrow, he's heading to the Snowball. That would be a nice addition at the Snowball.
But wasn't he there? Was it last year or 2 years ago where he was down there and ended up blowing that right front tire and destroying that car? I think it was 2 years.
2 years ago. Yeah. So we'll see. That's definitely going to be fun. Bobby, I gotta shout out good buddy of ours, good racing friend here in the Austin area. Obviously, we have our Saturday show over with Genuine Austin Radio over on the Horn and 104.9, all that good stuff. But Bama Brown today I saw on Facebook, and we kind of messaged a little bit back and forth. He 32 years in radio, that dude, and that guy has been a supporter of racing. I mean, as long as you can think about it. I mean, the days at Longhorn, he'd show up and run the spectator race and just randomly, the days at Z102 before he ever became a country guy, he was at the racetrack, and that's a guy that's been solid for racing support around here.
Oh yeah, I mean, as long as you remember back then in the Longhorn days, he would take Bobby Joe New's car and take that Z102 banner and sit there and run around trying to make practice laps for charity.
Yeah, and had the opportunity a few years back to run at CTS, but that kind of, I mean, honestly, what it was, the Clear Channel folks didn't want him, the liability, obviously, for that to happen, but he's actually been really supportive of the folks out at Cotton Bowl. I know he'll message me, he's like, give me a race date. He's like, I don't want a racing schedule. Just message me on Friday when they're racing on Saturday so I can get the word out. And I did listen to him a couple of races ago, and he talked about Cotton Bowl for about 3 minutes. So that was that's a lot of free advertising on the old Clear Channel there for that racetrack.
Yeah, no, anytime you get free advertising in a good way, there's nothing bad about it, right? I mean, we talk about it all the time. We sit there and try to squeeze in some free advertising for our friends here and there and all over the place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what it's all about. But that's one of the good dudes, and a good-hearted guy, a car guy, and just a good guy. I know a lot of folks that check out this program know him. The great Bama Brown, 32 years on the old radio dial. Guy started in sales. He was a radio sales guy, and he went out and just kind of he had that niche with people, and I think somehow somebody said, well, why don't you get on the air, and boom, there it was. There you go. Now, he's a salesman. I can tell you that. He is definitely a salesman.
Oh, yeah. No, he can sell ice to Eskimos. If you never met Bama Brown, just I guess, where's he at? He's still on Case 1. No, he's K-Vet. On
he's
98.1 KVET. Yeah. You might give him a look out on social media. He's a character, that's for sure.
Yeah, good dude. Our winners this week, of course, Bobby was talking about the Texas Short Track Racing Series. Jake Wright in the trucks. In the modifieds, Casey Smith, again, just putting it on him. Robert Barker in the Outlaws, again, those dudes are undefeated. Casey Smith in the Dwarf cars, again, I mean, those guys have not lost, all of those guys we mentioned. Really good legacy race there with Alan Sampson and the Eco Stocks. That was a fun race also. Toby Taylor in the Flying 50 is your winner in that one. Good night out there, really good night.
Lots of good solid racing action. Car count was not as good as what I thought, but for the weather that showed up at 6 o'clock that morning in the greater Houston area, I thought the fan count was actually fairly decent. Yeah. It didn't match the parking lot. Obviously, we know that people don't all ride together in one car, but I thought it was going to be slim pickings there with the fans in the grandstands. But lo and behold, they showed up and they represented pretty good. It might not have been the biggest crowd, but they were pretty into the racing all night long.
They were pretty awake. I mean, that was really good to see. I-37, you got the tuners. It's Brian Schoenbaum Jr. From what I can see, that dude is especially hard to beat there at the old I-37. The limited late models, Brandon Brzezowski, pardon me. Factory stock, Jarrett Payton, they had over 20 of those, even though you had 130 some odd over at the race we're going to talk about later. Sport Mods, the man himself, Whitaker. Whitaker Jr. to victory lane at I-37. Chris Carroll wins the modifieds, but Whitaker's got him a big 2-day show coming up this weekend.
Yeah, he's got a big 2-day show, and I think he's won back-to-back races at I-37, or at least he finished second maybe. Or maybe it was Johnny Torres that finished second to him there at I-37 a couple of weeks ago. But he still got it, right? Not a better way than show up at a sister racetrack in your car and sit there and find a way to win again.
Got to know it's got to be a lot of aggression when he's sitting there not going to race at his track, and that was a great I mean, obviously you need all the racers you can get, so that fact that he's not racing at his own track and he jumps out there, he's got to be ready to go. Toby the Torpedo Taylor, yeah, I tell you what, man, that dude, he had a hell of a drive the other night. Heart of Texas Factory Stocks, Shannon Duloc, iStocks, Jeffrey Abbey, that's always a contender in those iStocks. In the Street Stocks, Brandon Hood, Sport Mods, it's Brandon Guerin, Modifieds, Chris Galian. So good night at Heart of Texas as they just keep rolling along. It's a lot of racing, man. A whole lot of racing happening right about now.
It's finally getting hot and heavy after a couple of weeks of everybody kind of being off and regrouping after that super long break. We're now starting to see championship battles start to go. Obviously, the points race at all these racetracks are starting to heat up a little bit, but that's good because it's August. This is when the championships are won in the hot days of the summer. So interested to see how everything shakes out. Got some races at Cotton Bowl coming up this weekend. Also got some more stuff in Houston there in 2 weeks. So it's getting time for the getting time.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It is time to go. Got to ask you quickly before first guest, like 7 o'clock, we will have Grant Thompson, and then coming up a little bit later, 7:30, Neil Kemp, the winner of the King of the Hill over at Boot Hill. Bobby, your guy Keselowski wins tomorrow, and I joked around on Twitter today, Chip Ganassi loves winners. Well, apparently the captain does too, because all of that contract stuff, everything we speculated on Saturdays and on this program, all that by the wayside, because he ain't going to no 48 and he ain't going anywhere else. He's going to be driving that number 2 Ford.
Yeah, you kind of knew that was the way it was going to go, especially he was probably well on the way to getting a contract extension signed as it was, but lo and behold, you win that race at Loudon yesterday. Actually, I thought that Loudon race was actually pretty good by Loudon standards.
It was good.
The end kind of a little lackluster with about he was slowing down, ended up having a 4-second lead there towards the end and was slowing down to save gas, but that first stage was pretty outstanding with the racing. But yeah, not really a surprise. Not really surprised at all that he decided to stay at Team Penske. He's probably going to end up retiring there. He's only, I mean, even though he's still kind of on top of his game, his kids are starting to get a little older, and these guys are making so much money. This is probably his best chance to win the title since he won his inaugural title back in 2012.
Yeah, no doubt. And we're really watching. We talked about it the other day. Talked about it on Saturday. The contenders are coming to the forefront. They're getting down to it. And one thing that we'll talk about on Saturday on the Saturday show on the Horn and at hornfm.com. Something to discuss there would be what's going to happen with Bubba Wallace. I mean, I know that's a sore subject for a lot of people, but something to talk about with him is, there's ownership opportunities. There's all this stuff, so we'll see what happens there. Yeah, no, that was kind of the surprise news that came out of the Loudon weekend, was that RPM was going to offer up some type of ownership for Bubba Wallace to keep him there. I think he's got options that are open, and I still think it's not without a shadow of a doubt that if he could find the right sponsor, Hendrick would put him in that 48 car. Yeah, could very well happen. We'll talk about that maybe a little bit later on tonight, and definitely on the Saturday show over on the radio. What we're going to do now, let's go to the Revved Up Sports Show hotline. We're going to talk to the driver of the Kurt Britt Motorsports Pro Truck 2019 Pro Truck Champion over at Mobile. Good friend of the show. Good young guy right here. This is Grant Thompson. Grant, how are you, my man?
I'm doing very good. How are you?
We're doing extremely well. Where are you? Are you in the midst of all of this hurricane thing that's about to happen?
I'm not right in the mix of it. Right now, I'm actually up at Kurt Britt Motorsports house right now.
Nice.
We're just hanging out and just learning more about the truck and whatnot. But yeah, we haven't really been in the hurricane mix, but we're obviously praying for the people that have been going through that right now. So
absolutely,
that ain't too good where it's happening.
That's a good thing.
All right, well, Grant, thanks for the time. Hey, let's talk about a lot of people here in Texas may not know who you are. I know you're pretty popular in the Southeast. Let's go over kind of your career, kind of where you got to, and don't forget to tell everybody how old you are, because you're pretty phenomenal for how old you are.
Well, I'm 14 years old. I'm from Mobile, Alabama. I started racing go-karts when I was about 6 years old, It started out my home track in Grand Bay, Alabama at Sunny South Raceway. But ever since I was about, I'd say, 4 years old, my dad raced late model on Mobile International Speedway, probably the closest track to where I live. And he built me this little sprint car wagon when I was just a baby. He rolled me around the pits with it, and I got to meet a lot of his friends that I race with now. So that was pretty cool. But like I said, I started racing when I was 6 years old in the go-karts, and we've just been developing an experience ever since. From I was about 6 to about, I'd say, 10, 11 years old, I raced go-karts and won a couple championships at Sunny South Raceway. And, once I hit about 11 to 12 years old, I hopped in a Bandolero, and that's kind of what, it's really what started the whole, racing career, because, in go-karts, we didn't really know if we were going to get anywhere with it. And then once we got into Bandoleros and raced all over the country and started winning some races and getting my name out there a little bit better, it kind of boosted the confidence. And I was the 2017, I wouldn't say national champion, but I finished second at the national championship all over across the country. And that was a big accomplishment for me and my family. We've been working with it ever since I was little. So, we won a couple championships in the Bandoleros, and I had a lot of success in it. And, we were kind of thinking about moving up to a legend car, but we never really got the chance to. And my dad had 2 pro trucks sitting in the shop, so he said, you know what, let's just put him in the truck and see how he does. So, ever since he started the trucks, it's just been, uphill from there. But it's been one heck of an experience coming from the go-karts to now as the late model. So, the trucks have definitely been a lot of fun for me. And, I can't thank Thoroughbred Motorsports enough for everything they do for the truck.
yeah, absolutely. When I was doing the intro there, I was going to say we met you, and Bobby was talking about your age. I was going to say we met you way back when you were a kid. I think you're probably about 11 or 12 on a late night, a wet night at Pensacola. So that was pretty cool. Let's talk about your dad. I was talking with your dad yesterday. We had a great conversation. Just talk about the importance of him. I always ask young guys coming up, you've got a dad, then you've got a coach. The fine line there between the two.
Well, I would say that my dad's really the coach, to be honest with you, because, my dad kind of started the whole racing thing for me, because I didn't really, I played sports when I was little, like, baseball and basketball, stuff like that, but he's the one that really introduced me to the whole racing deal. So, he's been with me from the beginning, and he's coached me throughout the years and made me a better race car driver. But, from his experience with late models and just from everything he's raced, he knows how to get around a racetrack the fastest. And that's really kind of how it developed the experience off of him to me. So, absolutely, my dad's been one incredible mentor, and he's been just such an experience giver from the beginning. So, nice. Just to have him around is absolutely awesome.
It's great.
So, Grant, but before we get started up on the late model program with Augie Grill and them, one of the questions that we always talk about on the show is we ask young people about if there still is an interest in cars, right? Because that's where the next generation comes from going to be kids around your age. So is it an anomaly for you to be that young and interested in race cars and cars, or is it something a little bit more common in the Southeast?
Well, I've always been interested in race cars and, just cars in general, really. At a young age that I am right now, I've been very blessed and just had some tremendous opportunities on the road. But just liking cars in general is kind of where the whole racing part comes from, because you like old fashioned cars, and then you get into the race car part, and it's like, oh wow, okay. So just being from the young age that I started with race cars, I got to develop more about what cars are, and just it's just been pretty cool learning about from the regular cars, now the race cars. So.
Yeah. So Grant, let me ask you. I was, I mean, years ago. I'm obviously nowhere near your age anymore. But the first time I actually drove an enduro race, I was 14, and I kind of limped around and finished. But then other things distracted me, and I took about 8 or 9 years off. Do you have friends that tug at you and they're like, hey, let's be involved, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, whatever? Because I know that's tough. That's got to be tough. Although with the pandemic, I know it's hard to do anything else.
Right, yeah. I mean, with sports at school and, with just activities with some of my other friends, I mean, you got to sacrifice a lot driving the race car because, I mean, I played basketball until I was about 11 to 12 years old, and, I wasn't that good at it, so I kind of got rid of it. But, I mean,
love it.
But, yeah, with a lot of my friends at school, they play sports and stuff, and they're a lot better athletic than I am, and most of them. So, I mean, it was kind of a little bit of adapting from the regular sports to now the race cars. So, I mean, some kids don't really understand how racing is. Some of them are like, you just hit the gas and turn left. I'm like, it's a lot more to it than that.
That's right.
But I mean, some of them think it's really, really cool that I drive a race car, but some of them just really don't care. Just they're like, racing's just you turning driving ovals. I'm like, not exactly.
Yeah. Try it. It's not as easy as it seems.
That's right.
So, Grant, it sounds like at 14 you're going to be an incoming freshman in high school. It sounds like you got all your ducks in a row. I know at 14 I was sitting there trying to figure out how I was going to get up out of bed and get to school on time. So how does a kid coming in as the incoming freshman in high school? What does it feel like every time you strap into that Augie Grill number 112 Pro Late model?
It's as soon as you get in that car, you know that it's showtime. Like
nice.
With Augie Grill, with him at the level of experience that he has, all the success that he's had ever since he started racing late models, it's becoming a freshman in high school is definitely a big jump because I've been in middle school for a couple of years now, and I got used to the whole middle school deal. And but now being a freshman in high school, now it's a big step, and especially with the late model, with everything that goes on with that car, it's just a really big step.
yeah, no doubt about it. And quickly back to the truck. So you jump in that, and I mean you win that 2019 championship at Mobile, and I mean you're winning at Crisp. I mean it's like everywhere you go. What is it about those things? I mean, I know a lot of people will talk about the trucks, but man, those seem like a lot of fun.
They are definitely a lot of fun. Ever since I really got started in trucks, I just loved them just because of the way they drive and the way that they teach you, like, how to pace your tires and just stuff like that. It really just kind of taught me how to really just drive a race car in general because with the trucks, with, the rear end having tire spin, you got to make sure you don't, burn the right rear coming off the corners and just making sure that your car stays at 100% most of the time because, with Cordell and Five Flags, they're big different tracks and you have to adapt to them. With, Cordell having kind of like short straightaways and big corners, you really got to make sure you conserve your tires and just make sure that your truck is there at the end. With Pensacola, you can drive it off in there pretty deep, and you can still have a right rear at the end of the race. But, I mean, just learning how to drive the truck really just kind of gave me the experience I needed to hop in the late model because of, like I said, with the rear end and the tire spin and with all the horsepower, and it was a big experience level for me.
Absolutely.
So, Grant, you said you liked the trucks. Was there any racetrack that you want to get to that you hadn't had a chance to get to yet, or are you kind of wanting to just concentrate on the pro late model now, maybe hitting trucks every now and then?
Well, with this year being kind of like, I think my best year in the trucks, I definitely want to go to like, Gresham Motor Speedway. That track just reopened, and I definitely want to go there and race because from what I've heard, it's just a really fast racetrack. New Smyrna, I've tested at New Smyrna before, and it was a lot of fun, and I just want to go back there and race with some other guys just to see how it is.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a couple trucks that I haven't raced in, and the truck that I would love to go to, but with the late model now, we've had a couple races in those. I kind of want to go to more tracks in the late models, a little bit more than the trucks. But
yeah.
I mean, there's tracks in both of them that I would love to go to. Absolutely.
So Grant, I have to ask you. I know that you guys had planned to come to Texas on July 4th, and then this dadgum virus, kind of wiped us out there. I was talking to your dad yesterday. I don't know if you guys follow along, but we got a guy here that. He's undefeated. I mean, we've only run twice, but he's undefeated. Any chance that we can get you down here and you can race with our guy Jake Wright?
I mean, that'd be awesome. I've come out there before, and I was leading the race actually, and he was right on my bumper. But I mean, from what I've heard, he's been undefeated, and he has a lot of experience there. So I mean, it'd be pretty cool to come up there and just to show him what I got. But Houston, I definitely want to come back up to Houston and race.
Here we go. Nice.
That's nice. Even at 14, he's got it, right, Rodney? He's got it down.
Absolutely, man.
All right, so now we talked about the truck. Let's now talk about this late model again. You talked about some of the pressure that you feel, because it's showtime when you get in it. What is the main? I mean, obviously the objective is to win and all of that. We get that as race car drivers. We know that. But when you get into that machine, is it more about right now just getting the seat time and getting the experience, or is it about really getting in there and just going straight for the dagger of the heart and going for the win?
Well, from the first couple races that I did in his car, I knew that he had I know he had really good equipment, and I knew that I was in a good possibility of getting a good finish. And when we first started, I knew that I wanted to get up there and just to see how the guys up front run, and that's kind of how we're still learning how to do that, with saving tires and doing all of that. But now I've done a couple races now. I feel like I have the confidence that I need to pick it up a little bit. And, we haven't had terrible finishes. Just, we didn't have the best finish the other night at Montgomery Motor Speedway. But now with coming into my fifth race, I definitely want to see how I can do if I get up there with the guys up front.
Yeah, no doubt. So let's talk about the man that put you in that seat, Augie Grill. I mean, that's I had the fortune the first time I got down to Snowball finally, just a few years ago. One of the first guys I met was Augie Grill, and I'd heard about him for so long, and just such a nice guy. He's been on this program, so many times with us. But talk about Augie, Grand American Race Cars, just such a great guy.
He is a really good guy, and I can't thank him enough for everything he's done for me and the whole Grand American Race Car team. And with him being a late model chassis owner, and also with all the success he's had in the late models, he has a big background behind him. And I know that ever since we started with Augie, I knew that we were going to have a good time racing with Augie. And like I said, from when I was little and I watched my dad race late models, Augie was in the prime of his career right there, and he was just killing it every single weekend and week out. He was winning races, getting a bunch of top finishes, and just racing for Augie. That's just such a big it's just a big opportunity, and I very, very appreciate it from Augie.
No doubt.
So Grant, we got good news for you. Jake Wright is joining the Facebook feed, and he said he's looking forward to it.
Awesome.
Look at us being matchmakers already. Yeah.
Love it.
It's hard to follow up a question when you talk about how cool and awesome Augie Grill is, but let's talk about your plans. Are you able to think past the pro late model? I mean, are you thinking about ways to try to get into one of the super late models? Or are you one of those kids that plays it smart, that you just want to take it you don't want to just start popping all the way into a cup car next year, right? You want to take it, kind of learn what you can, and then move forward.
Right. And, with me still having to gain a lot of experience in the pro car, from what I had in the trucks, I needed to get in something faster to get more out of the truck. But, now that I'm in the late model, it's just so big of a difference with all the horsepower and the tire wear. It's just, I definitely want to stay in the pro car for maybe another year or so. But like I said, we probably need a sponsor within the next year or two, because I know how expensive those super late models are. So, yeah. But the pro car, it's definitely just. I definitely want to gain a lot more experience in it.
Yeah, yeah. Grant Thompson with us on the Revved Up Sports Show hotline, and I can tell you, as well as you speak, I'm so impressed. You were such a great interview, man. That is so cool. So we talked about Augie. Let's talk about Mr. Britt. I mean, that's another dude there where, man, you're aligned with the right people.
That absolutely. I mean, I think Kurt Britt is the Augie girl of trucks. I mean, Kurt's had a lot of good, successful finishes in his truck, and when he started racing when he was 16, he hopped right in the truck and he had success from the beginning. So, being with Kurt is just absolutely a big opportunity because, like I said, Kurt's had a lot of success in the trucks, and just him teaching me more about the truck and teaching me how to drive it a little bit better. That's just I just feel so blessed to have him along the road with the trucks.
Yes, sir.
All right, well, Grant, I got one last question for you. As we got a lot of good positive comments about you, and I know that you're young and just started, but you got to be one of the few racers that we know that we can't find anybody to say anything bad about you. Like everybody said, once they get to know you, you're a good kid.
So far,
right? Like,
so far.
we get the part of his dad's got the money to put him in a race car and stuff like that. But you really have backed it up with you got such a really good positive attitude, and you're pretty damn good at what you've done so far. So it's good to see somebody at your age that has the ambitions to go further, but has a really good head on the shoulders and a smart family around him. So that's just pretty cool. I guess that was more of a statement than a question. So
yes, absolutely. I mean, I'm glad I haven't really had any bad experience because just from what I have at my age, it's just a big opportunity from the success that I've had and to the success from, Augie Girl and Kurt Britt. I'm just so lucky and so blessed to have the opportunities that we've had over the past year. And I'm glad right now that no bad experience has been happening. I just want to keep that up.
Well, the thing is, if you get out front and win all the time, it's hard to get into messes. So you're doing the right thing right there. So I gotta ask you, Grant. I saw, and again, I'm not young and hip on things, but I do have a couple of daughters that are a little bit older than you. But so I know some of these terms. I saw somewhere that it said that if you won, I guess this past weekend, that you were gonna floss. So is that gonna be are you gonna do the floss? Is that going to be your thing when you win? You're going to be doing this floss dance in victory circle?
Well, I mean, it's kind of started from what happened on 251,
yeah.
But I think if I win a couple more races, I might do it on the front straightaway. So y'all just have to see. Y'all just have to see what happens.
Might see it in Houston. How about that?
You might see it in Houston.
Might see it in Houston. So what's next for you? What's next on the agenda? You got a pro race or trucks? What's the next one?
Not this weekend, but the next weekend we will be racing the Kurt Britt Motorsports 38 Pro Truck at Five Flags Speedway.
Nice.
Next Friday.
Nice. Super fun track. Is that track really that bad on tires? I have to ask you that. I ask everybody that runs there. Does that thing chew them up pretty bad?
Well, I'd say in a 35 lap race, if you go all green, it's not too bad, but in a 50 lap run, you definitely got to make sure that you have that right rear at the end of the race.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know how it is for the late model guys because I've only ran one late model race there. From the experience I've had, I did lose my right rear, but I mean, I definitely think the tire wear is. I mean, it's not too bad, but it's better than other tracks that I know of.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Man, Grant, this has been a blast. This has been totally fun, man. I appreciate you taking time. I know you were busy yesterday, so I text your dad. He's like, you message him. Y'all figure it out. So super good stuff, man. And congratulations on the success, dude. It is so neat.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
So neat to see it happen. We'll be following along, and Bobby and I say holler anytime, man, if we can help you out with anything.
Absolutely. Thank y'all.
All right. Have a good night.
Thanks, Grant.
Take care. There he is. That dude has a lot of energy.
Doesn't he though? We thought he had energy when we
Gosh.
met him at the Derby a couple of years ago, but man, he's even got more energy now and a good positive attitude, man. That's so cool to see. And he's, you know what? And he called us from the race shop, right? Called
Yeah.
us from the house.
Yeah.
So he's out there working on those cars, like we always say. Sometimes these kids that just show up, they show up, do their hair, get in the car, and run, and they don't know anything about it. He was talking about tire wear and setups and stuff like that. So Grant's going to be y'all pay attention to that. Y'all
Yeah.
keep track of Grant right there. He's going to go places.
You better remember that name. We'll podcast that up at revvedupsportshow.com here. We try to podcast all the interviews, by themselves. That way you don't have to go through everything if you've got one person that you want to hear. But that dude right there, and to line up. I mean, Bobby, think about that. That put yourself in his shoes. I mean, to get into that pro late model there, or into that pro truck with Britt, and then you go out and you're winning these races everywhere, and then you get the call from Augie Grill. I mean, think about yourself at 14 years old. I mean, I think I'd have forgotten about girls and football and baseball and all of this, and I think I'd have forgotten about that too, maybe.
Yeah, that's the one thing we didn't ask him is about how is it hard for him to try to walk down the hallways at the high school to keep the girls from hanging off on him. But
well, when he talked about that his friends say driving in an oval, driving around in a circle or whatever. I'm like, yeah, but the girls, the
chicks dig it, right?
The
Yeah.
girls probably think it's cool. What an awesome interview, Grant Thompson, young man right there, 14 years old, and just the opportunities and you see the dude is so grounded, and that's what we talk about with young drivers. It's like, man, humble yourself, and we didn't ask him. I'm sure there's been setbacks along the way, but I mean, humble yourself and get out there, present yourself like a champion, and you have that championship mindset, and obviously that dude, he is on the right path.
No, he's definitely on the right path, and like we said, he's just got. It seems like he's got all his priorities in the right direction,
Right.
And it's crazy at 14. I mean, I'm 41, and I don't even not sure I have all my priorities pointed in the right direction. But it's crazy to think about this kid at 14, how well he's done, and the alliances that he's lined himself up with over the last couple of years. It's nothing but doesn't seem like it's going to be anything but success for the guy.
No doubt, and I mean, I can tell you from what I remember of the night that we met them. It was. I mean, he was already like that, and you never know. I mean, I remember them saying, "Oh, he's pretty good." I mean, I didn't think he was near as good as he has turned out to be, but I remember the night that we met him, and then I connected, with his dad, Mr. Thompson, there with John, and he said, "Yeah, I got your card laying on my desk." And I was like, "Oh well, I guess we made some sort of impression." I'm not sure I want to know the impression. We met him. What was it? A Friday night of the Snowball Derby a couple of years ago, and it had rained, it was wet, it was soggy, and all I got to say is we were at Jake Wallace Jr.'s tent pop up. That's all I got to say. So I was afraid of the impression we might have made.
Well, it wasn't as bad. It wouldn't have been as bad there as it was at later on that evening. But yeah, that was who knew? I'd never been that hungover at a racetrack before, but that's a whole nother story for another day. But you're right though. He had a lot of energy when we met him back then, and he's definitely got the energy now. So that was a fun little interview. Nice kid. Nice to see. To see when the stuff starts coming together for the right people.
Good kid, and hopefully, honestly, I want to come see him race. The showstopper. I think that would be honestly, if we get Grant to show up, and then not to show up, but if they can find a way to get here, and you have him, and you have obviously Jake. And you get Lucia back in that Alexander truck, and if you can get Gerald and Boyette down here, you get those four right there, and you're going to have one of the best races that you're going to see, when it comes to these pro trucks.
Yeah, and figure in a couple of the local guys too.
Yeah.
Get David Webster in there, throwing him in there with as good as that truck's been running the last couple of races. So he's still trying to work the kinks out of that brand new body that he put on there, but that has the potential to be a really good show. I just think if they get a couple of more of those Britt Motorsports trucks, that could be a handful of trucks. That might be a show worth promoting.
Absolutely, and I think the key to that is very impressed, and thanks to all the mods and the trucks that have made their way out here or out there to Houston and Five Flags. They've struggled a little bit with the truck, so. maybe it is an opportunity. I mean, it's hard to call everyone together because there is mileage and money and everything that goes into it. But maybe something could be put together there that would be pretty exceptional. I think I'd like to see that. Coming up at 7:30, Neil Kemp, who is the $10,000 man. He's the king of the hill, as he wins at Boot Hill Speedway in the factory stocks. That's yet to come. So we'll talk to him here in just a few minutes. But we've kind of gone over everything here. I did see something that was positive when it comes to NASCAR. They had the race at Bristol a couple of weeks ago, the All-Star race, 20,000 or so folks in the bleachers there at Bristol, and there have been no cases related that tie back to anyone that may have been at Bristol at that point. So that's good to see, especially as we see cases popping up and so forth. Maybe that's something that's a step in the right direction.
No, I think anytime you can have a big group of people together and keep the numbers down, that's always a step in the positive direction. So that was good. That was good to see, good to hear, and hopefully that's going to be the case going forward. That as you get more fans, I kind of like the fan count that was there at Loudon. They were spaced out fairly well, but it's good. Keselowski there. One of the things I was thinking about yesterday is that there's probably somebody that was not a Keselowski fan before that, right? That was at that race yesterday. And all of a sudden, it's the first time they get a chance to go back to a race and do anything, probably out in public for the last 6 to 8 months, and Keselowski wins. I bet he gained a lot of new fans yesterday.
Well, people can say whatever they want to say. I mean, I know there's opinions, and a lot of people have boycotted and walked away from the Premier Series for whatever reason, and that's totally fine. I mean, I understand opinions and can appreciate them, but I'll tell you what, that racing yesterday was unbelievable. I mean, these guys, they got after it, and they were racing. I mean, they were close. I mean, every stage. I mean, throughout the duration of the race, you had guys. I mean, when you had Brad and Denny, I mean, those guys. That's two guys, and there were. We talked about this Saturday. There were a couple of things that happened yesterday that I'm sure in Brad Keselowski's memory bank, he's like, all right, I got something on you when it comes to the head games here. Be ready when we get to playoff time. That was some damn good racing yesterday. I'm sorry. This is bottom line.
Yeah, no, I mean, anytime the racing is good, that first stage was just outstanding. You throw in a little bit of Ryan Blaney. And speaking of Blaney, that dude has been fast everywhere, but he just, for some reason, him and Todd Gordon just don't have that was just the wrong idea to stay out on that one pit stop when everybody else come to pit. They're towards the end of stage one, and it threw everything off. But that dude's been fast everywhere. They just need to try to tie into some good luck and some better pit strategy. And I think they'll be winning a couple of more races.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll continue to follow that. We're getting towards playoff time. There it is. Tim Thompson checking in. Looking forward to racing at HMP with a very impressive group of pro truck drivers. So there it is. Could happen. That's going to be fun. And hey, shout out the modifieds also, man. I know everybody's chasing Casey, and that could have very well have been a deal with the first race at HMP with Houston, or with the modifieds, with the NASCAR modifieds. Casey wins that, handily, very handily. We could have seen a decline, but I mean, still, car count was still about the same, and those guys, I like that. I was actually talking to someone the other day, and I remember when Casey would race with us in the dwarf cars, and not that you were conceding to Casey when he was in Gary Buchanan's '99, the Superman car, but when he was doing that, you had a pretty damn good idea that he was going to be the one to beat. But people kept showing up like they did with the modifieds, and I mean, I think that makes you better when you get out there and you see the guy that's so good, you chase him, you try to beat him. I mean that's what the sport's all about.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what happened with the dwarf cars. It's exactly what is probably going to end up happening with the modifieds. Right now, the 800-pound gorilla in the room that's going to finally, at some point, break through that cage is going to be Paul White. In that 96 Polaro car. He's just got to have just a tick better luck. I know he had basically had 2 tire issues the first 2 times of the season. So I think once he gets that thing figured out, you talk about a battle between the 99 and the 96. That's going to be a fantastic show when Paul White gets a few more of those kinks ironed out in that 96 car.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, he jumps out there and he takes off the other night, and that's when I started thinking, maybe this is the night. But just a really good run for him, and to see all of that coming together, those modifieds, really becoming those, back in the old days of the Fiesta modifieds. I mean, we're starting to see that again, and we got to shout them all out. I mean, I know we got a lot of the eco stock guys on here, and I mean, those guys are coming. They're coming strong, and they're racing the hell out of those cars, and that's a fun class, and that class is has really become, we sell it and we promote it as an entry level type of class, a fun class. And that's what it is right now, because you got a bunch of guys that are just getting out there, just driving the wheels out of these cars, and it's really the class is really owning up to the way it's billed as a class to just get out there for fun.
No, I mean, absolutely. I mean, it's one of those. I enjoyed myself when I was sitting there racing with the class, and that was 10 years ago in the high five. So I'd look forward to racing with those guys again. I know Mike Meekham's been trying to get me to get a car together and come out there. So I still have an inkling to want to get out and race with those guys. But right now it's just not working in the cards for me to get a car ready to go out there this year.
Yeah, that I get that question a lot. Is do you miss being on the track? And I mean, obviously, yeah. I mean, I miss being on the track. When race day comes around, when it's time to get in the car and strap in and go. Yeah, I miss it at that point. But it's just great to be out on the racetrack, man. And I do, coming off a weekend like that, obviously you do miss it. But the answer to that question, because I do get it a lot. So, I mean, what I'm going to tell you guys is I think I'm better helping our sport, because we're on a mission here with the show to promote racing in Texas and dirt, asphalt, all of it. I mean, I think that, Bobby, probably you and I both, we're better off in a position right now helping to promote racing series and helping do all of this other stuff. I think that's our calling at the moment.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think that the way that we, everybody wants us to be involved in some kind of different way, but I think right now we're right in the spots where we need to be. I mean, I was able to help out in the tower on Saturday night with you behind. You were up behind the microphone, so I was able to help out in the tower a little bit, help do a little bit of everything, help score, help spot, do stuff like that. But I mean, I wouldn't rule out ever not getting back in another car.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. You just gotta, if the right opportunity comes along and I got a shot to get in a car, then maybe I'll make sure to take my helmet, my gear one night and try to see what happens.
Yeah, kind of the way that I tell people is I would be glad to race again. I'd be happy to race again. I've got a racing car, but I want to do it on a night when I'm not working. I mean, I'm more productive and whatever. So anyway, that is what it is. But we're going back to the hotline. These factory stocks. We've been talking about these factory stocks, how just the growth of them. And when you start hearing about a race where there's going to be $10,000 to win, and they call it the King of the Hill because it's at Boot Hill Raceway. And, man, we lucked out on this thing. And, I could use a loan, so I'll probably ask him for one here at some point. But we have not only the boss man of Club 20 suspension, but we have the King of the Hill, $10,000 richer after this weekend. It's Neil Kemp. Neil, how are you, man?
Doing great. How are y'all?
Man, we are doing exceptionally well. I bet your phone's been blowing up, hasn't it?
It's been bad. I've missed so many phone calls. I haven't got to return a bunch of phone calls. It has been crazy.
Absolutely. That's awesome.
Well, it sounds like you've been busy, Neil. We appreciate you taking the time out to talk to us today and stop counting all that money. But talk about the race itself. I mean, that one, you got all the heavy hitters in that one. It sounds like you're able to beat the best of the best in the factory stocks and take home that big check.
Absolutely. You won't find a tougher competition in any class, in my opinion. I mean, I've raced street stocks and some modifieds and some late model stuff. And I don't know. I mean, you just got so many good cars. I think I heard Zach say one time there was over 100 cars there, and 100 of them could win. And he's right, man. Anybody can win that race. And it's tough.
Yeah. I bet. So I was reading. I was kind of reading some of your posts there. So did you wonder as the weekend is starting and you lose 2 wheels and tires on the way to the track? Do you start thinking, well, hell, maybe I better just go home?
Yeah, I told somebody, I don't know who I was talking to, but if that's how my luck's going to start out, it might be a bad weekend. But before, I called my mom and Justin Whitehead, and I had my mom go from my house to where Justin Whitehead gets on the interstate at, and she looked from there and I get a Snapchat from Justin's wife of Justin rolling my wheel and tire about a half mile back up the interstate because they seen one. And then another buddy of mine, he spotted the other one about an hour later and grabbed it and brought it. So I told somebody, like, man, this might be my kind of luck this weekend. And I did. I had some pretty good luck.
Yeah, no doubt.
I don't know. I'd be losing wheels and tires every weekend if that was going to be the way to make you win the big dogs.
Shit
But
on that.
let's talk about your background a little bit, Neil. Obviously, this wasn't your first win. You got the shock and suspension business over there. Talk for the people that don't know your background. Get into your background a little bit for the people that might be hearing you for the first time.
Well, it's pretty crazy. I started racing in 2006. I drove for a guy named Brandon Rowland for about 3 months in 2006, and then I started driving for a guy named Lloyd Woodruff in 2007. I won a few races in 2007 in a pure stock class. And then I went to a street stock class. Won a few in it. I went to modified. I don't know, raced about 10 to 15 nights or so in a modified. Never won in one of them. Won a couple heat races, but no features. And I got another street stock about 2010 or 11, and old Zach Clark likes to call me three-wheel Neil, and that's when all that started. I had a street stock that would just stand up and fly, but and that went on for several years, and they live right here local, and they actually own the track. So I was kind of stuck racing there. And I wanted to get out and go race more, and I started driving for a guy named Michael Rawls, a good friend of mine, and got to go do the Batesville street stock stuff, and actually won a feature at Batesville one night, and then we went to the 10,000 to win. Had a good run going there and broke a motor, and I don't know, it's been back and forth. Drove a late model about 4 or 5 times for my step grandfather.
Yeah.
And then in 2000, and I've never owned a car. I mean, I drove all them years, and I never owned a car until 2018. A buddy of mine named Tommy Woody, which I drove for a little bit, also in a factory stock. He built me a car, and I run it for a couple years, and then Justin Whitehead, he got on me for a while about getting an outlaw. So I got an outlaw over the winter, and it has been great.
Yeah.
It's been top-notch race car.
No doubt. So Neil, what is it? We'll get back into the weekend here in just a bit, but I mean, we're watching it here in Texas, just a massive growth. I mean, these cars look cool. I mean, I love the factory stocks. I mean, I'm old school. I mean, so to me, they look like race cars. So, I mean, I know, I mean, there's big money shows. I mean, just talk about this class, man. This is just such an amazing class. And I mean, it's a blessing that this has popped up here.
It really is. And that's what I've told a bunch of people that does the street stocks and late models and stuff. We do no tire work. You know, that's my favorite part about it. I don't have to grind no tires. I don't have to groove no tires, side no tires. There's no tire work. You know, I wash them on Sundays when I wash my car just to, you know, try to keep them clean and the glaze off, and that is it. And that's probably my favorite part about it. That and the motors are pretty cheap. You know, you can spend $20,000 in about any class on a motor besides the crate deal. And it's definitely the next best thing, you know, the exception of the crate deal. I mean, modified racing, I think it's coming back with that crate engine deal, but you know, even the crate late models, that's getting popular around here now, and that crate motor helps. But you know, I love this class here. I'm glad that we're not stuck on a crate motor, because I love our engine. And Chuck Priestley at Best Engines does a awesome job, and he I won this weekend, and he's putting it together for free, you know. So I'm glad, because I wouldn't know where to start.
Tell him you don't have any money. Tell him I can't pay you to do it.
So Neil, let's talk about the progress. We talked about the progression of the factory stocks here. It seems like every 5 or 6 years you have this next class that becomes the next big thing, and you see some guys moving down from the big mods. And it seems like when the mods were doing good, then they had late models. Late models were doing good, then they would end up having the sport mods, and now the factory stocks are doing really good. Is the way that the class is progressing, do you think that the promoters are going to find a way to keep it from becoming too expensive? Because some of the guys in a sport mod that are used to spending tons and tons of money on shocks and chassis and stuff like that can find a way to be more cost effective. Are they going to find a way to price this thing out, or is there a way to keep this class as competitive as it is without starting to spend bukus of money on the extra stuff?
I think my opinion there, we spend money on cool stuff, that we don't have to have.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've still got a bone stock, factory stock. When you get an outlaw car, a lot of people talk about the price of an outlaw. His work is awesome. When you pick up an outlaw and it's either roller or race ready, you can pretty much go to the racetrack and win races and, not have to work on it. And that's what I've told a lot of people about this engine. I bought this engine last about April, I guess. I never took a valve cover off of it. I never had to do anything to it. And matter of fact, when we got to the Cajun Classic, when we got in tech, we had to beat the valve covers off of it because they were stuck on there so hard. and even this year here, which I got some different valve covers, and they come off a little easier, but I've had to pull the valve cover a lot more in tech this year. So,
yeah.
And I mean, you roll out to the track in the Outlaw and it's ready to go. It's ready to win. And I've been up front about every time I went somewhere, and I don't know, they're good. And now, as far as the cost and stuff, you can still you can buy a bare chassis Outlaw, and I'm gonna push the Outlaw deal. A lot of people probably get tired of hearing it, but I've had a lot of people ask me, what'd you change over the winter from winning 2 or 3, 4 races last year to 7 or 8 this year? And I literally changed the chassis, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still on the same spring, same shocks. My lead's in the exact same place as that car I had last year. Not that it was a bad car. I won some races in it, was very competitive in it. Justin just got it figured out.
Mm-hmm.
It's they're just really good cars.
Yeah.
And so, back to the cost deal. Yeah, you don't have to have all the we got $1,200 wraps because we have blue chrome in our wraps. We have blue chrome in our wheels. We have lights all over our cars. We do. I mean, Justin puts a nice rear end cover on our rear ends, and I heard a little complaint about it over the weekend, but it still bolts up OEM just like a transmission pan, just like an oil pan, just like a valve cover.
Yeah.
So anything that can protect anything from breaking, Justin's found it.
Yeah.
And that's why we can make 50 laps all the time. And I'm not going to say I'm not going to, break down the next race or something, but I've not broke anything this year.
Yeah.
And, I've got a good power plant that's durable. I got a great rear end that's durable, and Brandon Brown at Outlaw, he's the one that does all the building on the rear ends, and, they're great. So,
yeah.
I mean, we just put really good parts on. We keep new parts on them, and, we run a Moser axle. They're more expensive than getting a stock axle out of the junkyard. And
yep.
When you get hit in the left rear or the right rear, it's not going to break.
Right.
It might bend, but it's going to break.
Mm-hmm.
We all run good transmission. It costs, which I don't know of a cheap transmission out there, but
yeah, I agree.
Yeah. But, I really don't understand why we can't run like a Bird or a Brent or something, because we got the same money in a Power Glide or something, but I'm all about keeping the Power Glide, and it's still stock, so I'm all about doing it. It's just a cost efficiency there. But but anyway, I mean, we run really good durable stuff, and it costs money, so
no, that's
kind of way we don't even when it comes to the brakes and the hubs, we don't or me personally, I don't run the brake calipers from O'Reilly's. AFCO has a Virgin brake caliper, and that's what I run. Even their front hubs and stuff, I don't knock that stuff off of old junk cars. I like the new stuff. I think that's why we all we're always there of a big race.
Yeah, reliability. I mean, that's what you got to have. It's funny where you were talking about, Neil, where you were talking about lights and all that stuff. That there used to be a pavement guy that raced up here in Texas, and that dude's car always looked, I mean, just great. I mean, always the best paint job. They used paint back in those days. Always painted. He'd put it up on jack stands. You got under there, and that thing, I mean, it was painted, everything on the bottom. I mean, just as nice as on top. And we asked him one day, why do you do that? And he's like, if I flip that sumbitch, I want it to look good, you know, when the bottom side's up. So, anyway.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's what, I didn't do all the powder coating on the front suspension and the rear end and stuff like Justin and Brandon did. But, man, you talking about some showroom cars at the first year, which Justin's really, it still is. I mean, they had their rear end housings powder coated, their front lower control arms, front upper control arms, spindles, all that powder coated white. You know, to go with their candy blue chassis, and it was just amazing, you know, awesome to look at.
Yeah,
and
that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to spend all that money in factory stock, and you know, I kind of hate to say it like this, but if you got it, you can spend it, you know, and you know, and I didn't get to do all the powder coating on the suspension, so
yeah. Well, I like that you spend it on that stuff and not trying to figure out a way to cheat up, you know, stock exhaust or whatever it may be. I mean, that's the way to do it. Right.
Yeah. Now I will say I do have I don't know where my exhaust came from. I bought them for $60 off of a guy, and I did have them blasted. You know, I had them sandblasted and coated.
Yeah.
Or however that works on the exhaust. I'm not real sure, but they're coated. They're not rusty looking, you know. So. But yeah,
that's awesome.
You can still run the stock drive shaft. You know, we run that small 2-inch drive shaft or whatever they have in the day book now. It's just simple. You know, you spend $380 and you got a complete drive shaft in your hands instead of getting one out of a truck or a car or whatever and going to buy U-joints for it and doing a lot of work to it and you know.
Forgot how much fun
a lot of people do it different, but it's just how we do it.
No doubt.
All right, Neil, so I keep seeing these hashtags pop up on the Facebook feed here talking about hashtag Club 20. So I'm assuming that's something near and dear to your heart. What's the story behind the Club 20 and the Club 20 suspension here?
That's the moneymaker.
Well, I mean, my number's 20. So my grandpa was number 120. My dad was number 20. I was number 20 in high school basketball sports and stuff, and I just always been 20. So, I mean, I hate to be a copycat, but you know, when the Club 29 race car thing came out years ago, that's kind of where I got it from.
Yeah.
And you know, he jumped out there and was popular with that late model deal, and shoot, it kind of fell off. So I stuck Club 20 in there, and I don't know, it was just been a dream, you know, for a while to even get in the shock deal, and I think I tore my first shock apart in 2014. Just, I don't know, opened it up, looked at it, and didn't know not much about it then, and got to playing with it, and here I am.
There it is. That is super good. So let's Neil Kemp with us, King of the Hill, $10,000 cold hard cash, or I guess, cold hard cash, somewhere. Don't know where he has it, but. So let's talk about the weekend. And I mean, this race, I mean, I love this because you have to factor in passing points. And I mean, it's just a matter of advancing. And that's a beautiful thing about these big races. It's you got to live to race the next day. Take us through the weekend, how you wound up with all that money in your pocket.
Well, of course, we went through the whole losing the wheels and tires down the interstate. Get there and shoot, there were so many cars you couldn't even practice. I think I made 2 practice runs or something. There was just so many cars there. And I timed in second overall, and then they took the top 10 back out, made the top 10 go again, and I ended up third. But I knew I had a good car, so went into Friday, and they went off passing points. I started 5th in my first heat. I roll into 3 and 4 on the last lap, and I went too high trying to lap a car, and I end up in the mud, and I go from 1st to 5th in about 100 yards. Not even, more like 100 feet. So, and I was mad. I was aggravated. Just wanted to stomp on my own feet, you know.
You were pissed off. It's okay.
Yeah, I was mad. So, second heat was started 6th, finished 2nd, so decent passing point. But instead of instead of being first or second in passing points, I was 29. And on the top 24 went to the B mains. They locked the top 24 went to the B, so it was 12 in each one. It was locked in. The rest went to C mains. I ran second in a C main. It put me starting 18th in a B main. They took the top 10 out of each B main to the A main, so I had to finish 10th or better. It's only 15 laps.
Ugh.
I started 18th, finished 4th in the B, and started 8th in the A. And I don't know, I got to 3rd and probably, I don't know, 25 laps maybe. I fought with Dalton Faulkner for a while for 3rd and went back and forth, and finally got settled in the 3rd. And I think about 12 to go, I got by Jason Ingles on a restart and chased Justin down. I guess there were 6 or 7 laps left. I finally got by him, but I'm gonna say about lap 9, I threw the door on Justin. I just I slid in a little too much on him and made contact, and we made about 2 more laps, and I finally passed him. And then we had a caution with 4 to go, and he pulls up beside me on the caution. I'm worried to death he's fixing to throw the finger at me or something, And heck, he was fist pumping, and
yeah.
It's pretty cool. I mean, you don't get friends like that very often. I don't know of anybody who else has a friend like that.
Yeah.
That's $10,000. That's a $7,000 difference in first and second.
Yeah.
And it is pretty cool.
I love it. It's awesome.
But there's only something you can do to your friends.
Do what?
That's only door slamming is only something you can do to your friends before they throw the finger and start wanting to fight you in the infield. So that's not good. I would have just been like, if it comes to 10,000 to win and we're coming to the corner, I am stuffing Rodney in the fence. I know that. So just beware of that, buddy.
Yeah.
If it's 10,000 to win and I'm running second with a bumper, bye.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it kind of depends because Justin does a lot for me.
Yeah.
My car stays at his shop a lot. He does a lot of work on it himself. Shoot, he tore my engine halfway down in tech the other night. I mean, it's I'd have rubbed him for sure. But,
yeah. And I got to ask you about that, Neil. I saw somebody posted. So I've been to tech a time or two with these cars, and they tell you, okay, we're checking carburetor, whatever it is. So you do what you do, but so you roll up in tech, and they got a list of shit for you. I mean, it's not 1 or 2 things. They're like, here, this is what you're tearing down. How long did all that take?
I don't remember what time the race ended. Somebody said it was right after midnight, 1 o'clock or something like that. And we got done with tech. I think I got paid around 4:30 that morning.
Ooh,
and
man.
We was all loaded up by about 5:45, I think. And matter of fact, I got out of the shower about 6 o'clock and was getting in bed. Yeah, it was 2 full pages.
Yeah. I saw
and luckily, I usually go racing by myself, just me and my son, and I lucked out. I had a lot of people want to jump in there and help, and I was really expecting to do a ton of it by myself, and several people jumped in there and told me to enjoy it, and they'd handle it, So
yeah.
And Justin he got in there and helped also, so it was nice. But yeah, I had a naked race car. We could have dang near took it apart and powder coated it again.
Yeah. I saw some pictures there. Come on, Neil. You know how it is. I mean, these guys, you get out there and you win 10,000. You win this weekend. They want to help. They want to see what you got.
That's what's funny. I tell so many people this. I don't have secrets. I don't hide nothing. I'm in business to sell shocks. And I'm a dealer for Swift Springs, and they give me free springs, a few of them every year, and so I kind of look at it as an appreciation deal. I try to push it, And somebody was asking me what was the difference in mine and Justin's car that he was in over the weekend, and as far as I know, springs.
Yeah.
He was on some hypercoils, or I think they run the hypercoils in the front. I don't know, Landrums or something in the rear, but I run all Swift, and that had to be the only difference. And
yeah.
I don't know. My car was really, really good.
Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. Speaking of customers of yours, I got to give a big shout out, Monty Chamberlain, one of our good buddies here. That he's actually the one that I reached out to this morning because I was trying to get a hold of you, and I'm like, I'm sure everybody else is. And I saw Monty post something about you, and I said, hey, I messaged Monty. I'm like, hey, tell him to check his messages or whatever. And he said, well, he's been checking them, but there's a lot of them. Talk about Monty. That man, that dude, he's a good dude.
Monty is the one that bought my car last
Yep.
year, and
Yep.
I tried so hard to get him to bring it because it was always really good at Boot Hill last year in the slick.
Yeah.
You know, anytime it got slick, I was right there, and he wouldn't bring it though. So I don't blame him. I've seen a lot of co-op race cars this weekend, and
Yeah.
I know what you mean. You expect that for 10,000, and you know, it's no entry fee, 10,000 to win, 500 to start. You're gonna see some fenders put on each other.
Damn,
So,
I didn't know the no entry
But
part.
yeah, I met Monty, and he come up and got my car and stuff, and bought me lunch. We sit and chatted for a while, and
Nice.
he's a good dude.
Yeah.
I hope I'd like to see him come up and race a little bit more.
Yeah,
A little bit anyway. Yeah, I don't know if he's ever came up and raced.
Yeah.
You know, that's a good haul for them. So
yeah. Well, he's taking good care of that piece. I can tell you that is one fine looking
that's
machine.
what I told him, man. I told him it was my baby. You know, that's the first car I ever fully owned, and
Yeah.
you know, I didn't want to get rid of it because it was a pretty big sentimental deal. But
Yeah.
you know, the guy that built it, he's not in business to build cars and sell cars, and Justin is, and you know, shoot, I'd like to. I hope I can sell a bunch of cars for him. You know.
Yeah.
It's,
no doubt.
I mean, I hate to. I don't want to talk about nobody chassis manufacturing anything like that, you know. But
Yeah.
I've never drove any of the other ones either. So
Yeah.
But it's
Yep.
I'd push Outlaw all day long. It's crazy how good they drive.
Yeah, no, that's great. Got to ask you. Lastly, there's a big debate going on the Facebook feed. If you're out in the yard walking in circles, I mean,
What's funny is I'm in my house walking around in circles. I do. It must be my little sister, somebody on there, because I do pay.
Yeah, well, I mean, you went in circles enough over the weekend to win $10,000 damn dollars. So you walk all the circles you want, man. That's that's super good, man.
I think I got a trail walk around in here in my house. I do. When I'm on the phone, I walk around and pay so much.
The floor is packed. The floor is packed
Yep.
and ready to go. That's super good, man. Neil, congratulations, man. That is so awesome. $10,000 there. I mean, over 130 cars was the last number I heard. And to be the king of the hill, you've reached the top, man. That's pretty kick ass.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
All right, man. Thanks for the time. Enjoy this. You racing this weekend? Is it all back together? You ready to go?
Well, Justin got the engine put back together, and I don't know if anybody knows Brandon Brown, but he could probably build a whole car in about an hour.
Nice.
That sucker, he'll lay everything out, and he's fast.
Yeah.
So he told me to bring it down there, and he get it taken care of. But Justin has told me to drive his car this weekend and not rush on mine. I'm not sure what we'll do there yet.
Nice.
But
Nice.
yeah, I will race for sure, whether it's in mine or his.
Yeah.
If I can fit in it, he thinks I'm fast.
But man, just lay the door into him next time you're around. That'll fix all that shit.
Oh yeah.
Good stuff, man. Neil, congratulations. Anybody that calls asking for a loan, just don't answer the phone, man. Just hit ignore.
That's right.
That's
right.
Yeah.
They told me I needed new pulleys on my motor earlier, and I told them I couldn't afford it. Dude, I'm trying to get John Mitchell to spot me a barrel of fuel until next payday.
There you go. That's right. Super good, man. Congratulations. Keep at it, dude. Let's do this again, man. Great conversation.
Sounds good. Thank y'all.
All right, dude. Take care.
All right, y'all too.
All right. Bye-bye. There he is, Neil Kemp. Man, these guys. Oh, man. Shoot, man. This was great. This was fun. I mean, not that the other ones aren't fun, but, man, we had a couple of good ones on here tonight.
Yeah, no, Grant was really good, and Neil was still pretty excited, even though he went to bed at about 6 o'clock, got in the shower and went to bed about 6 o'clock on Sunday morning. But yeah, that's not like that's one of them races we need to try to get to, is that King of the Hill.
You know,
I know that place was packed. We were watching it on Race on Texas, and I was showing you the grandstands. Man, they were ass cheek to ass cheek in them grandstands, weren't they?
Yes, but yeah, I mean that looked like a great event right there, and that's man that we talk about, you know, when I went to the race in Edna and I saw, you know, 50 some odd factory stocks, I was like, man, that's really impressive. And then I saw that, of course, $10,000 you know brings that out, but I had no idea it was no entry fee. When he said no entry fee, I was like, what? I mean that's legit right there, man.
Yeah, that's a lot of cash, and that's I guess that's why that race is so big. They must have some really good sponsors to keep that race with that. I mean, it's he said it's 250 to start. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, I love the comments. I mean, Cody Meyer. Cody keeps checking in. His head is too big. I mean, I love it. I mean, I love it. This. Oh man, that's good stuff. And I was thinking this morning. I woke up. So like for me, after a race weekend. Yeah, usually the Sunday's not so bad. I mean, the Sunday's not so bad, but I wake up on Monday, you know, because I'm on my feet quite a bit, and I'm pretty wore out on Monday, and I was pretty wore out this morning. But I was thinking about that with Neil there. I guess I don't usually have $10,000 cash because I saw. You got to find those tech sheets, Bobby, if you haven't seen them. I mean, they're handwritten. I mean, they're handwritten like the stuff we do. I mean, it looks just like this with all the shit they had to do. And there's a picture. There's a picture of two legal pad things, yeah, the yellow paper, and it's laying there, and there's like a wad of cash laying right on top of it. It's
like,
it's
500 to start, not 250. So Neil checked back in on the feed. 500 to start.
Jeez. Man.
Ooh.
Damn, that's super awesome. I did want to get down there this weekend. I wish. See, we're at the point now where these things. I mean, there's too much happening. I mean, I wish things would spread out. We were joking the other day about no racing last Sunday or whenever it was, and that's kind of the way these are happening, where everything's just back to back to back to back. But I don't know. And speaking of back to back, I mean, you got Saturday or Friday and Saturday this week at South Texas, and then Saturday at the Bowl. So good stuff. You know, speaking of factory stocks, and like I said, I-37, you had all those factory stocks over there in Louisiana, and then over here you had 20 some odd, and that's just a cool class, man. That's just a cool class.
Yeah, no, I mean, it looks like it's the class to be. It's almost, hopefully it just gets to the point where it's not going to be oversaturated and you're going to see them do like an IndyCar and IRL split down the middle, Champ Car and IndyCar split, where some guys are going to say, hey, I don't want to spend this much money, and these guys say, I want to spend this much money. The class splits in half, but hopefully that class will stay together for a long time because it looks like it's the class to be right now. Everywhere you go, everybody's talking about them factory stocks.
Well, we got a lot of people checking in here tonight, so I'm telling you here again, I do want to have one of these in Houston. You factories. I mean, if you have any interest in maybe trying to get a pavement race put together, I mean, you're on the right tires already, so you're good to go there. So that's already there. Let's figure out a way to do this. I mean, if we can't do it in 2020, maybe we can do something in 2021. Neil checks back in the Mike Parker Memorial Factory 50 at Texarkana 67 Speedway, August 20th through the 22nd. 5K to win. 300 to start.
That's crazy. That's a lot of money.
I'm checking those dates.
I know, right? No wonder everybody's getting into this class. That's some big money races to win right there.
Well, and that's one of the things that Joe Spillman has talked about, where there are so many opportunities to go run these cars, and I mean, I love that. I was talking to Storm Steve Sims a couple of weeks ago, and I was asking him about the rules, and I had no idea how. I mean, obviously you see that they look like stock cars, but I mean, I see some of the prices of them, and I'm like, well, but then I see the rules of them, and I'm like, that's the way it's supposed to be. But it's the thing to do right now, man. I love the cars, and that's super exciting. What a great weekend that had to have been over there at Boot Hill.
Yeah, no, I mean, just from the looks of the grandstands and everything else, it looks like that was the place to be at the race, and so maybe we'll get a chance to make some of these bigger factory stock races here before the season's out, because I bet there's going to be a few more.
Absolutely, really, really good stuff right there, and just a great radio program tonight. I mean, this has been great. Recapping the weekend that was, talking about the weekend that's coming up. I think weather's going to stay in line. It ain't going to rain around here. We do need to give a shout all of our friends along the East Coast. I mean, it looks like you've got this thing coming, and I actually wrote down how to write what that thing is actually called. Isu Isis is heading bearing down on the East Coast. So hunker down. I got a friend, or I got a picture from our friend from Jacqueline Drake, and she said, I don't know, I don't watch the weather, but it looks like something's coming. And it was a big old gray cloud coming right at them over there in North Carolina. So prayers for those folks. That one's gonna be pretty bad.
Yeah, that one's gonna be pretty bad. I got to watch a little bit of update of that on the news myself. So that's not good for them, but hopefully it works out for the best. And as they get everything shaped up and get the last couple of cup races in before the playoffs, looks like hopefully everything will go all right as they get ready to head south to Florida. No hurricanes as of right now in the outlook for the races when they go down to Daytona.
Yeah, absolutely. Great show. Thanks to Grant Thompson. I mean, what a burst of energy. I mean, after talking to him, I was like, I want to go run 3 miles. I mean, listening to him, it's so cool when we talk about having the kids involved in the sport, and he comes in. I mean, just great parents, great family. You can obviously tell that they've done the right things as they've raised him. He's very humble. He appreciates his opportunities, and I think that's something that we don't see a lot, is where young guys feel entitled. This young Thompson kid doesn't feel entitled. He feels like he's still needing to prove himself, which obviously he is. But he's had great opportunities, but he still feels like it's, let me go show you what I can do.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, he's still in an opportunity where he's able to showcase what he can do, and he still wants to do more. So, great show tonight. Talk about opposite ends of the spectrum with Grant and Neil.
Yeah.
But both of them very talented race car drivers and on top of their game this past week.
And then when you get, we still have folks checking in there talking about just what a class act that three-wheel Neil is, as they continue saying good things after he takes $10,000 cash. What a weekend, man.
I guess it's always nice when that happens, right? You think everybody talk bad about you after you win, but I guess he's got people talking. Those are the ones that want the loan, right?
Yeah.
The ones that are still talking good about it are the ones that need that loan.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's definitely what that is. Absolutely. And I bet he's had a lot of that. Great program. We'll have it podcasted up at Rev'dUpSportsShow.com. We'll get it up at SoundCloud and all of those great podcast providers that we post this show to. We're back next Monday. We're on the radio Saturday morning from 11 to noon at hornfm.com and locally on the radio and the Horn app. Looking forward to that. Bobby, stay good down there, my brother. Great program.
Yeah, fun like always. We'll try to keep it safe, rocking and rolling down here in the Southland.
Yeah, absolutely. Hashtag Real Race Talk from Texas. Be nice to someone. You never know what they're going through. You're going to feel better as well afterwards. We'll see you when we see you next. This is the Rev'd Up Sports Show.